Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday, and welcome to Unity of Music City. On behalf of Reverend Deb Moore, I am Ryan Gill. That's Jackson. That's Candy. We're going to stand up singing. We're going to start off waking up this morning with our minds set on spirit, and then remembering where we are and who we are. I am the place where God is. Let's all sing. Woke up this morning with my mind set on spirit. Woke up this morning with my mind set on spirit. Woke up this morning with my mind set on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Rising and shining with my mind set on spirit. Rising and shining with my mind set on spirit. Rising and shining with my mind set on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Walking and talking with my mind set on spirit. Walking and talking with my mind set on spirit. Walking and talking with my mind set on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Woke up this morning with my mind set on spirit. Woke up this morning with my mind I'm set on spirit. Woke up this morning with my mind set on spirit. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. All right, let's remain standing. Let's do another one. Let's do I'm the Place Where God Shows Up. Can we get our sway on? Place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness. Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Let's take it up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God shows up. All right. Thank you so much. You sound great today. Please be seated. I think Crystal has a quick announcement for everybody.
I do. Y'all know I don't like to be up here, so it will be quick. You guys have noticed the beautiful painted rocks out in the front flower bed. I wanted to tell you guys what that's about. So the youth is kind of taking care of that area. We got some weeds to pull, guys. It is our kindness garden. They have started painting rocks, and they've been doing it for a couple months now. Here's one Zoe painted for us. Here, Zoe, hold the sign for me, honey. So this is not a rock. It's whatever you want. We're doing positive messages. The goal is leave a rock, take a rock. Leave it somewhere where someone is going to come across a positive message. That's all there is to it. Nothing fancy. Some of the rocks, even the ones I painted, aren't gorgeous works of art. They don't have to be. It's about putting a positive note on somebody's day. So the sign's going to get put up hopefully this week. You are more than welcome to stop and look, get some ideas. Pinterest has a million ideas. I go down that rabbit hole all the time. But there are empty blank rocks out there too. Take a couple of those home with you, wash them up real good, paint them, bring them back. Thank you, guys.
All right, and now if there's any kids that would like to go with Miss Steph, you are dismissed right now. All right, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Music City. We call ourselves a place of authentic transformation. And that's because no matter where you are on your spiritual journey, you are loved and supported here on this very property, in this very room. So we are so happy to have you. We're so happy that you made the sole choice to be with us today and let your energy play with our energy. So thank you so much. I think we got some announcements. So Julie, would you? Oh, let's do the centering statement, isn't it? Yeah, you did. I'm in announcements mode. Yeah, thank you. Centering statement.
Good morning, Unity Music City.
Good morning.
Let's begin this portion of our service by taking a deep, centering breath. Today's centering statement is, to everything, there is a season. Everything in the universe has a cycle. Physically, you can think about the seasons on Earth, the cycle of life, the phases of the moon, your breath, or in our culture with music and fashion. Cycles are a natural part of the universe, but much as we might prefer, nothing stays in one state forever. The law of rhythm is sometimes called the law of perpetual motion. It's focused on movement. This law shows us that everything is forever changing, and our job is to embrace the ride. Each stage of life has tremendous gifts to offer. Understanding the rhythm of life helps us to see how cycles play out in our daily life and release resistance to changes that unfold in your world. Our thoughts, emotions, and circumstances are ever changing, so from this we can discern that hard times won't last forever. Equally, it's important to remember this concept when things are going well, because we know that this isn't permanent either. Sometimes we have a tendency to think that we can force things to happen, but how often has that worked for you? Surrender to the flow of life and let your inner wisdom guide your thoughts, words, and actions. Understanding this law helps us cultivate a mindset of gratitude, which is one of the easiest high-frequency emotions to tap into at any given moment. Watching the seasons change and being in tune with nature can help us understand what is happening in our lives. Our full moon gatherings can help you feel the joy in the seasons and in life. Today's season may be good, but nothing is permanent. So enjoy what you have while it lasts. Alternatively, perhaps maybe you're in a negative part of the cycle right now, but it may be the very thing that prepares you for the prosperous change in the future cycle. When we learn to observe the ebb and flow of life with patience and faith, we can understand that there is a time and a season for everything. All right, if you will, please repeat these affirming statements after me. I look for love, joy, and peace in every circumstance and situation. I look for love, joy, and peace in every circumstance and situation. Today is a new day, and I choose to create my life for good. Today is a new day, and I choose to create my life for good. I take the good, I take the bad, I take it all, and there I have the facts of life. I did not write that.
Oh, is it up there? Oh.
That's what's written.
Let's repeat that. Let's say that.
I'll say that one more time.
Repeat after.
Who did this? I would say that again. I take the good, I take the bad. I love whoever wrote this. I take the good, I take the bad, I take it all, and there I have the facts of life. You ready?
I take the good,
I take the bad, I take it all, and there I have the facts of life, the facts of life. And so it is.
So it is. So you stay right there. We're gonna. But you can find wisdom everywhere, right? So there you go. We've known that since we were kids, but we're turning that into wisdom today. All right, Julie, let's flow right in the spirit of peace, love, and joy to the announcements.
It flowed rather nicely, didn't it? Wow. All right. So, happy Sunday, the last Sunday in August, and September's here. It means, as we read about the seasons here, it's awesome. So all activity or meeting links and phone numbers can be found on the website, weekly happenings, Google Calendar, or you can always email the church. You all moved over this week. Can't point to that side. Right.
They're helping to balance us.
Mixing it up today. All right. Crochet group for Centennial NICU babies. Contact Tammy C. for future dates and times. Her info is on the website. Tammy's right here on the left side. Spirituality in Recovery, every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Weekly meetings based on the 12-step recovery principles, literature-based and led by 30-plus year recovery members. All are welcomed who are interested in growing spiritually using the 12 steps. See Marge Hart for more information. Marge is right here. Also, new side. All right. Thank you all for doing that. Appreciate you. Adult Happy class tomorrow, August 28th, and Steph warned me about all these little writings, little scribblings, so we're going to She said, Ryan, you were going to help me out if I didn't have all the information. So,
I think I can read that.
yeah, it's pretty good. She said you could, so
Yeah.
good to go. Tomorrow, August 28th, from 6:30 to 7:30, and that's tomorrow night's topic, How You Vibin'? We will be having the throat chakra through gentle yoga and discussing daily habits to raise your vibrational energy. $20 suggested donation. I think that covered it. It's awesome. Full moon gathering, Wednesday, August, not October, like I said last week. August the 30th at 7 p.m. Join us around the fire at Wren Road. Birthday celebration and potluck Sunday, September the 10th, following the service. Bring a dish to share. See Susan Hurt for more information. Susan's back here waving. Thank you so much. The Story of Me on Saturday, September the 16th from 2 to 4 p.m. The Story of Me is a fun and artistic view of learning about your church community. Have you ever wondered what your higher self looks like? Can you picture it? How about sharing with others what you think it looks like? The Story of Me is a way to learn about each other through the lens of spiritual art. Come with a curious and creative heart so we can learn from each other. How did we end up in unity? What topics and paths inspire you most? What is your story, and how do you want it to unfold? It's presented by the Healing Arts. Wing Blade Falconry Immersive Experience. A half-hour close-up and personal encounter with falcons, hawks, and owls. This includes a presentation by Holly Lamar, owner of Wing Blade, about the spiritual and practical history, uses, and symbolism of these magnificent raptors. Group size is limited, so sign up soon. Is the sign up still in the back? Awesome. All right, $70 per person, y'all. It's normally $95, so it's a great thing here, great deal. See Reverend Deb for additional information. All right, so there are 3 spots left, 3 back here. She's holding up 3. So the sign-up sheet's ready for you, and with a pen ready to go. And that's what we have. Everybody have a wonderful week. Thank you.
All right, it's time to sing again. We're going to do the monthly mantra. This is the song that really kind of speaks to what we teach here at Unity of Music City, our beliefs and what we teach. And it's called Love Only Knows. We've done this for several weeks now, so I think we basically know it. So let's just stand up and sing it. 2, 3, 4. Love knows no distance, love knows no race, love knows no country, love knows no faith, love plays no favorites, love doesn't care who or why or what or where. Love only knows that love is real, making no distinctions. Love feels, love goes beyond nature and need. How can this be? Love only knows. Love only knows. Love knows no titles. Love knows no names. Love knows no history, no pride or shame. Love keeps no secrets. Love builds no walls. And I believe there's love in us all. Love only knows that love is real, making no distinctions. Love feels, love goes beyond nature and need. How can this be? Love only knows.
Love only knows.
Love only knows.
Love only knows.
Willingly,
Love only knows.
faithfully,
Love only knows.
endlessly,
Love only knows.
perfectly, oh, perfectly. Please be seated.
I love that song. I just love that song. Last week, when we were finished and finally talked to a bunch of people and left, got home, got into my soft clothes, as I call them, realized I'd left my iPad here at the church. Now, if you're like me, that's like leaving your second brain somewhere. I did not want to get back into my car and drive back here and get it, but I did, because I had to. I got in my car and I decided there's a gift in here somewhere for you. Somewhere there's a gift. Got all the way here, hadn't seen that gift yet. Sure enough, found my iPad, left, locked the church, Tom, you'll be happy to know, locked it all back up.
Thank you.
Yes. Got in my car and I decided to listen to Kate Martin's podcast that I mentioned to you last week. Kate and her friend Sarah Jane Chapman. I'd listened to a few of the episodes, but I thought I'll listen to another one. About a mile down the road, I got this gem, an acronym for love. Let others voluntarily evolve. Love only knows. That's how we show compassion. Let others voluntarily evolve. I invite you to close your eyes, settle into your chair, feel yourself supported completely. A spinning disc of just below your belly button. When you breathe, when you inhale, take the life-giving oxygen in through your nose and down into your lungs, into your diaphragm, all the way down into this spinning disc. Envision that air going around and around and around, cleaning and cleansing. And then when you need to exhale, it comes out and up through your lungs and out into the world. Love feels. And this orange disc is the center of those feelings. It is the love and compassion that we have for all those with whom we are in relationship. It is our pleasure, our joy, our emotions. And when we breathe into this space, we are breathing into love and compassion. We are breathing into joy and pleasure. We are breathing into happiness, freedom. We are breathing into the essence of who we are. And I invite you for a moment as a spiritual community to, together, breathe into this deep, deep space within you. and feel the gratitude, the deep gratitude we have for this life we have been given. In the silence. In the silence. Thank you, Creator, for making us in your image, creative beings. Thank you for instilling in us that same divine impulse to flower into some new evolutionary version of ourselves that did not exist before. It was merely potential. But you gave us that divine spark to change it into something brand new, to create what wasn't there before, something whole and healthy and joy-filled, pleasure-filled. Our birthright is to live a life of love, joy, and peace. And we accept it. And so it is.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Always there for you. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Peace I leave with you. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Always there for you. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know peace I leave with you.
What a nice energy to be in on a Sunday morning. Oh my gosh. Welcome. It's so wonderful to see each of you here. I am grateful that you have come. I just like that trip back to the church. You know, if we look for a gift, we usually find one. And I want you to know that every Sunday you bring a gift to me, and I appreciate that. Your presence is so valuable to me. So thank you. I hope, maybe, if we're lucky and lightning strikes, I'll return the favor. So I have a couple of questions for you. First, let me do this. I'm going to light this little orange candle just because. I don't know why. Just a random thought. Just going to light it there. See how long it lasts. There we go. So I have two questions for you this morning. Number one is this. How many of you regularly and intentionally follow your creative impulses? Okay, a few folks. I knew I could count on you, Aubrey. I knew I had you. Yeah. I knew I'd count on you, Chris. A few of you. Okay. Second question. How many of you feel completely supported in making the choice to create? Okay, I love this. I love this. Y'all can teach the rest of us, all right? So today we're talking about Svadhisthana, the sacral chakra. It's orange. Thank you, Julie, for wearing your orange shoes even. So she's got it going on back there. If anybody needs your sacral chakra unblocked, Julie will dance a rain dance around you after the service.
I think those are two different spiritual paths.
Maybe, you know, we're interfaith, baby. We just like blend it up till we have some kind of cake that tastes good. So Svadhisthana is a Sanskrit word that means, it can be translated in a couple of different ways. One of them is where your being is established. It's also translated as the dwelling place of the self, right? And this is the area where creativity, sexuality, desire, relationships, emotion, joy, pleasure, all of that stuff lives in this energetic place, right? And isn't that is the seat of the self? When we think about the self that we are in this human experience, not that divine essence that never changes, that never even needs healed. It's healed, it's whole, it's all the time. But this physical being, this person we walk around as all the time, when we talk about who we are, when we're asked to describe ourselves, when we're asked to think about who we are, we often think about our emotions, our emotional reactions to things. Oh, I'm basically a happy person all the time. Oh, I'm an optimist, right? Oh, well, you know, I'm a realist, I'm a pragmatist, or I'm a little bit more. We think about how we feel about the world and how we interact with the world from that place of feeling. So let's learn a little bit about this. Let's get a little background to start off with here. We know the color is orange. All of you UT fans are going to be very, very happy today. Us Vandy fans are just going to have to suffer through this Sunday.
Y'all are used to that.
We're used to it. Yes, we're very used to that. Yeah. 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 If you look up the word masochism in the dictionary, it just shows a Vandy fan. That's right there.
That's the logo.
That's right. So the color, of course, is orange, and the element is water. And I want you to be thinking about last week when we talked about the root chakra, and because we're going to do a little bit of compare and contrast. These two chakras, they're neighbors for a reason. They are neighbors for a reason. The root chakra, of course, was red, and the element was earth. Right now we're moving into water. The location is the lower abdomen, the sacral plexus. It's a nerve, area of nerves right here. Usually about 2 or 3 fingers below the belly button is the center of this idea. And so the identity is emotional. If you remember, the Muladhara identity was physical. Earth, physical, fixed, right? Whereas this is water, it's emotional. The emotions are water. Think of all the water signs. Got any water signs out here? Yeah. Yeah, you guys flow with the emotions, don't you? You know how to flow with those emotions. And the orientation is self-gratification. The Muladhara was self-preservation. It's about survival. Now, the very next step after survival is pleasure. Isn't that great? Right? The very next step. We were in the fixed earth of Muladhara, the groundedness, the constancy, and now we're in water, movement, emotion. Emotions are all about change. Your emotions are the changeable part of you. I remember a few years ago, around 15 or 20 years ago probably, I was going through a very tough time. I was really down, going through a really big transition in my life. It was hard. It was tough. I felt all kinds of feelings. And a friend of mine was on the phone with me while I was, whining about this. And she said, "That's an emotion, and it won't last." And I wanted to hit her, but we were on the phone, and I couldn't because she was far away. But the truth is, what she gave me was a lifeline. She threw me a lifeline and said, "I know you're feeling big stuff right now, but hold on to this. If nothing else, it'll pass. What you're feeling right now will pass because it's mutable. It's changeable. It's an emotion, right? Consider the kind of tension, if you will, that naturally exists between the root and the sacral chakra energies, the groundedness, the rootedness, the physicality, and the emotion, the movement. Anodea Judith, who wrote this book that we're following along with a lot, to a great deal, Eastern Body, Western Mind, this is what she says. The universe exists only through a constant dance of consistency and change. Through consistency, consciousness finds meaning, right? That's truth with a capital T. Gives me a sense of meaning in my life. I can count on that. It's constant. Through change, it finds stimulation and expansion. To find consistency within change is to embrace the unfolding flow. This is the dance that we do with this. The dance of consistency and change. I see this exemplified a lot of time through artists in our society. We've created a society, yay capitalism, that seems to demand that you pay attention to one or the other. You either survive or you create. And we consider it almost like a lightning strike, those people who are lucky enough to do both. Right? They're superstars. They're the rare ones, the 1 in a million who get to do both. And so we've created this kind of natural tension there, create or survive. I think about how many artists we have in our society, musical artists, visual artists, theater artists, people of that nature. I'll tell you one thing, we love them. Our world revolves around this. If all the art around you went away tomorrow, you'd notice it, trust me. You'd think we'd give them health insurance. It's so important to us. You'd think we might do that. I don't know, just a little thought there. That's why I chose this pick for the next slide. The basic right of the sacral chakra is to feel and have pleasure. Now, I don't worry too much about Beyonce's ability to survive. She's the one the lightning hit, right? She's able to completely live in her creative energy, and her kids are going to go to the best schools. That's fine. She's got it covered. But nonetheless, I chose this actually not for her, but for the looks on the faces around her. I've talked to a few folks who've gone to a Beyonce concert this summer and or a Taylor Swift concert. I think they've both been touring in massive tours this summer. Most of the people I've talked to have said, A, they wanted to go back. Now, you know how many dollars they spent to get to those concerts? I knew people, friends of mine came from Missouri to see Beyonce in Nashville. So the hotels and big dollars. And those folks that come back said it was life-changing. It was amazing. To watch someone in their creative moment is spiritual. It's a spiritual experience to see someone in the apex of their creativity. Right? How many times, though, do we place pleasure in a kind of extracurricular place in our lives? It's not part of the required courses, right? It's something extra that if we get time, we'll fit it in there somewhere. But here's the thing. It's a basic right of our core beingness. We have the right to feel what we feel. We have the right to have pleasure. And in fact, it is essential to who we are. Carl Jung said, emotion is the chief source of all becoming conscious. There can be no transforming of darkness into light and of apathy into a movement without emotion. Emotion is a powerful motivator. That's why churches and politicians and actors and public speakers and commercials all appeal to your emotions, because they know that if they want you to move on something, they got to make you feel. Feeling is what makes you move. Now, sometimes this is not used in a very a way of integrity, right? I started to see, they've done it for years and before I was born, but I certainly started to see in my lifetime, I learned to identify when a politician was trying to make us afraid. Because they know if they make us afraid, they've got us, right? They've got us. So what are some of the issues that we deal with in the sacral chakra, the Svadhisthana chakra? Any issues around change or movement? This can be changing jobs, moving to a different house or a different state, or even just moving your body, right? Getting up and moving. I think sometimes I lock up my sacral chakra when I'm sitting too long at my desk. Got to get up and move, got to get up and do something just a little bit. And then my creativity stops flowing too, right? It's like I get all locked up. It deals with issues of pleasure. Do we allow ourselves pleasure? Do we deny ourselves? And why is it that whenever we think of disciplining ourselves or denying ourselves, it's the pleasure we're cutting out? What if we denied ourselves the work? I mean, just a thought. I'm just spitballing here. Let's just, right? What if we denied ourselves the feeling badly? Instead of said, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go down that road. I'm going to stay in the joy. I'm going to stay in the pleasure. Right? It deals with issues of emotion, the expression of emotion or the suppression of emotion. It deals with issues of desire. The great question around this energy is, what do you want? What do you want? That's the question of the sacral chakra. You know, we're talking about both flows at the same time, the upward flow of liberation and transformation and the downward flow of manifestation. Manifestation flow, we start from the vision, the crown chakra, the bringing it into spirit world, and we set an intention, right? We speak that intention. We start to feel that intention, all this kind of stuff. And isn't it interesting that the last gate we get to before bringing it into physical manifestation is this gate of, what do you want? I don't know about you, but I have envisioned and intentioned and affirmed and meditated on things that I didn't really want in the past. I've done the work. I think I'm supposed to want it. It feels like something I want, but do I want it, or is it just the latest shiny thing that caught my attention? Is it really going to fulfill my soul? Is it going to serve me and the world? Right? So it's a fantastic gate to go through right before manifestation. What is it that you really want? Sexuality is a sacral chakra issue. We're going to deal with that a little bit more in the moment. I could have said just enough said. Talk about that at home in the privacy of your own home. But you know we're going to go there in just a moment, so strap yourself in. I shouldn't have said anything about strapping yourself in. I'm sorry. I'll be giving my 2 weeks notice, Benita. Let's move on to the shadow self, shall we? If any of you have done shadow work, then you know about the shadow self. This is the unconscious part of our personality that doesn't align with the ideal vision of who we are. Carl Jung called it the ego ideal. The shadow self is that construct that we create that our ego thinks it never's working for us. It's working against us, and this is where we deal with issues of the shadow self. Oh, my Lord. I got to recover. All right, so The challenges to Svadhisthana. This is what can cause this to get blocked up. The flow isn't happening. It's gummed up. The works are all gummed up. These are the kinds of things that can cause it to be blocked or deficient or excessive. And so it would be things around sexual and emotional abuse. Obviously, this is the place of the feelings and sexuality. So any kind of abuse in that regard is going to be problematic. Any kind of volatile situation. I love that word volatile because volatile is more than just violent, right? Volatile is unstable. If you're a chemist, volatility has to do with its instability. Is that not correct? Okay. So it's an unstable situation. I don't know what's going to happen here. This feels uncertain. How many times, by the way, do these challenges to Svadhisthana arise from within us? Like we're creating and allowing the volatile situation, the uncertainty. Right? Issues of neglect or coldness or rejection, all of those are about pushing away your emotional self. Have you ever in your life felt like you were rejected because people didn't approve of the way you felt? Right? People didn't like the way you felt. And they couldn't deal with it. And they shut it down. I think this is a big challenge area for parents. I would imagine, not because I've been a mom, but I have been a daughter. I would imagine that there are a lot of emotions children feel that moms would really rather not deal with right now. This is tough. This is big. And this is the moment when you can say, am I going to meet that with coldness, rejection, or am I going to dive into this stuff and let you know it's okay? It's okay what you're feeling. Emotional manipulation, just like those politicians. And this is a biggie right here for me, religious or moral severity. The issues of religious or moral severity. That church you were raised in that told you how you're supposed to feel about things, that told you what your sexuality was supposed to look like, right? If you have excessive or deficient energy flowing in this area, here are some of the side effects of that, some of the manifestations. With excessive energy, you have more energy spewing out in very weak boundaries, which brings little discretion around sexual or emotional expression, right? And so you have this kind of, by the way, I don't know why I'm going to go with this. This thought just popped into my head. I can't believe I'm quoting Dr. Phil, but let me tell you something. Years ago, I heard Dr. Phil talking on one of his shows, I'm going to call him Mr. Phil because I don't really think he's a doctor. But at any rate, he's talking on his show, and he said that when fathers leave, and this hit me because I was 14 when my father left, right? When fathers leave, little boys become angry. Little girls become promiscuous. And what I see in that is a loss with my own father. My father was often, believe it or not, it's the opposite. My mother was the root chakra, right? She provided for us. She was the one who made sure our house was clean and our clothes were folded and all that kind of stuff. My father played with us. He was sacral chakra energy, right? And so when he left, well, I'm not going to tell you what. Anyway, no. I got to rein it in here. I got to rein it in today. At any rate, this is the kind of thing that can happen with this. We have sexual addiction, or we get obsessively attached. We have poor boundaries. We have emotional dependency, that instability. Or if it's deficient, maybe we're shut down. We're numb. Our emotions are shut down. So as we talked about last week, every one of these chakras, every one of these centers of energy has a demon. What do you think the demon of this one is? Guilt. Right? Guilt. Society tells us to get a job and work that job for 40 years and build our 401k and have health insurance and don't be a burden on society. But I'm an artist. I want to create. It's not what I do. It's who I am. I have to do this. I can't do what society asked. But social pressure is so strong that every time I take a little bit of time to create, I feel guilty. I should be doing this. Right? The religion of my youth tells me I should behave a certain way or I'll be bad, I'll go to hell. And going against that religion perhaps gave me the earliest experience with guilt. And my mother. Oh, my mother. My mother was the flight attendant on guilt trips. Right? Parents can do that, can be such a huge source. Our family can be a major source of guilt in our lives. We're not living up to their expectations. Worst thing my mother ever said to me, and my mother's a wonderful human being. I don't want to talk badly about her, but she is a mom, and she did this shit. Okay, so my mother, the worst thing my mother ever said to me, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Mothers, be very careful with that phrase. That phrase goes deep. It goes deep, right? And it lays a load of guilt. Our sexuality. Think about the number of ways our sexuality leads to guilt. You're too young. You should wait. You're not married. You are married, right? You should be straight. You should be gay. You should be monogamous. You should do this. You should act this way. And then something happens and when you don't, if you've internalized all those shoulds, you feel guilt. And that guilt puts us here. And we're here for freedom. Right? We're here for freedom. That guilt imprisons us. It makes us not free. We've missed the mark somehow. We've sinned. We're not okay. We're wrong. We're bad. And now we have the punishment of the guilt prison that we've allowed to exist within us. Now, before we move on, is all guilt bad? No, absolutely not. I know there have been times in my life when I felt guilty over something that I, by God, did, and it hurt someone else. And that guilt was a little nudge for me to get back on track, to make amends, to say I'm sorry, to fix it, right? It's the nudge of my soul keeping me in the highest vibration with myself. Doing sacral chakra work can help us understand when the nudge of guilt is imprisoning us or it's trying to free us from the prison that we've built. I was looking up Brene Brown's definition of guilt the other day, and then I followed this thought process through in my spirit this week. She gave a very basic definition of guilt. She said this: guilt is what we feel when we fall short of expectations or standards. And my thought process that I followed was this: the important question is, whose standards are they? This question helps us determine the difference between guilt that misleads and guilt that guides, between guilt that heals and guilt that hurts, right? Between guilt that frees us and guilt that imprisons us. Are you feeling guilt from an inherited standard that does not match the vibration of your soul? Maybe it's the standard that needs to go and not the guilt. Right? If we have a standard that doesn't spring from our spiritual essence, that doesn't match who we are, that wasn't created from our own understanding of right behavior, then kicking that standard to the curb automatically takes the guilt with it. I don't need any of that anymore. You might say, well, that's a little dangerous, Deb. I could just start kicking standards to the curb right and left. No, you can't. Your consciousness won't let you. Your vibration won't let you. Right? It knows more than anything what right behavior is. It yearns for non-toxicity. It yearns for health and wholeness between you and another person. And if we deal with that, then we free ourselves and we free those that we might have harmed. When I kicked my family's and my religion's standards of heterosexuality to the curb, I felt free. I remember 40 years ago, so I was driving in this morning, I thought, that was 40 years ago this past spring. 40 years ago this past spring, I remember sitting on a bench out in front of the Wakefield Fine Arts Building at Trevecca Nazarene College and saying to a friend of mine, the only guilt I feel is that I feel no guilt. And something in my head tells me I should, right? But even at that tender age of 19, I didn't feel any guilt. And I knew then, this is not my standard, this was theirs. And I can let it go. In the Gospel of John, first 11 verses, we get a story about Jesus. Jesus is teaching in the temple. This is during the last week of Jesus' life. When we talk about Jesus at Easter, remember, this last week is a full 1/3 of the entirety of what we know about Jesus. Right? 1/3 of all of the Jesus talk in the Bible is around this 1 week, between the time that he rode on the back of a donkey on Palm Sunday through the gates of Jerusalem, and on Sunday, Friday, was crucified, Sunday rose again. Right? And so during this week, the religious scholars, the Pharisees, they're trying to trick Jesus into crossing the line so that they can charge him with a crime and get rid of this guy. I think it may be the most important element of Christian history for us to remember that it was the religious leaders who condemned Jesus, his own religious leaders, from his own religion, not the state. Romans didn't care about an itinerant preacher roaming around preaching about love. They didn't care. As long as everything was stable and y'all paid your taxes, we're cool. It was the church who had a problem with this, because these are teachings that don't come, you're contradicting what we've been teaching people and how we want them to live. And so they brought this woman to Jesus, and they said, we have caught her in the act of adultery. We've caught her red-handed. There's no question, we caught her. We saw her with our own eyes. Notice they did not bring the man she must have been in the act of adultery with, but that's a whole other sermon. We'll talk about that in Misogyny March. Okay. So, we caught her in the act of adultery. And the law of Moses, they're talking about Levitical law here. All those rules set down in Leviticus, rules that are still used to this day to condemn people. Rules that even in Jesus' era were questioned. Should we still live by these ancient rules? 2,000 years later, should we still live by these ancient rules? We're still talking about them. And so they say the law of Moses say that she should be stoned. What do you say? You going to go along with this? Because if you will back us up on meeting perceived sin with violence, you'll be okay in our book. And then Jesus did something really important. He bent down and he started writing in the dirt with his finger. Now, we don't know what he wrote. There are some theologians who see this as evidence that Jesus knew how to write. Don't know why that's important. But historians care. They care about these things. Some say maybe he was just drawing a picture. Here's what I know. What I know is that when Jesus is called upon to pass judgment, to impose guilt, he first grounds himself. He literally goes to the earth and connects with it. I love this image of this marriage between the root and sacral chakras. He's faced with sexual impropriety, right? All sacral chakra work, and what does he do? He goes to ground. We don't even know. There's no explanation in the scriptures of why he did this. He goes to ground. He grounded. He created. And so then he stood up and he says, the one of you who have committed no sins, he should cast the first stone. He doesn't pass judgment on the law of Moses. He doesn't pass judgment on the person there. He turns to the accusers and says, which one of you has never sinned, has never violated a trust, has never gone against your own standard or expectation? You cast the first stone. And then he goes back to ground and puts his finger in the ground. He doesn't stand around watching to see. He doesn't raise one eyebrow and look at people like this, right? He doesn't care. He goes back to ground. And the scripture says that one by one they started to slip away. I can imagine the first guy who's slipping away. He's probably standing near the back thinking, you know, if I just turn like this, they're not even going to know I was... there's Jesus? Oh, hey, how you doing? Right? I'm just going to start sliding away. But soon enough, Every single one of them slipped away. And Jesus stood back up and he looked at the woman and he said, "Where are your accusers? Is there no one here to condemn you?" She said, "No, there's no one." He said, "Well, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Now that sin no more part is the part we unitics like to look at and go, well, they didn't have to add that on there. Could they just leave that off? I don't condemn you. Go on, be happy, right? But remember that sin just means don't miss the mark, right? Go and stay true to your own mark. Go and live by the standards that your vibration is telling you to live by. Be free. Go and in your actions make sure you are free. So how do we begin to heal and open and unblock and release whatever might be hindering our sacred creative energy? That second chakra energy, the energy that springs from the very dwelling place of ourself. Well, Crystal's got some posters back there that tell you a little bit. You can find the right essential oils, or you can find the right yoga pose, or find the right crystals. All those things can be great tools to help you do this. But here's a few simple ways that I think you can put maybe a little WD-40 on that little spinning wheel, right? And I like to keep it simple because the truth of the matter is if it's too complicated, even I won't remember it, and I wrote it, right? So let's keep it simple. Here's one thing. First thing you can do is just move. Move your body. Make it an intentional act to move. Dance. Dance is the most beautiful second chakra kind of healing emotion. Once you can do what he's doing right there, your second chakra will be just fine. I promise you. That is a promise. Learn Tai Chi. Get up and walk, stretch, do yoga. Actually get on the ground and play with your dog, right? Figure out if you have to sit in a chair for a long time at work, figure out some chair stretches and set a timer for yourself to do them. A lot of you know that my mother, when I would be sick growing up, and I'd wake up and I don't want to go to church, I don't want to go to work, or just what did I do? I went to school. I don't want to go to school, I'm tired, I don't feel good. And she would say, get up, move around, you'll feel better. And she was right, and I hate that. She was right. Get up and move around, you will feel better. Right? Get up and move around. Second piece of advice is this: treat yourself. I don't know if anybody, this is Tom and Donna from Parks and Rec. And if you have not watched Parks and Rec, I don't even know why we're friends, quite frankly. But Parks and Rec is one of my favorite shows of all time. I've probably watched the whole thing through all the way like 2 or 3 times at least. But Tom and Donna have this one great episode where it's treat yourself day. Whatever, you say yes to everything. Treat yourself. The writer of that episode actually said in an interview that later on he went back to these 2 actors and apologized to them for writing that episode, because to this day, when those 2 actors are out in public, that's what people yell at them, right? Treat yourself. This has kind of a similar dynamic as guilt, by the way, where guilt can be something very negative and heavy and we need to get rid of it, or it can be something that nudges us in the right direction. We need to see the same kind of yin and yang energy around treat yourself, right? We need to be very careful about how we treat ourselves. These 2 characters actually demonstrate this beautifully. Donna is a person who we come to find out later is incredibly financially savvy. She's made good investments. She's sitting on a lot of money. And so for her, treat yourself day was just a splurge day that she allowed herself. It wasn't going to hurt her, wasn't going to cause any other chakra pain. If your treat yourself causes your survival chakra to clench up because you spent too much money, you didn't treat yourself. Right? On the other side is Tom. We learned Tom hasn't a clue. Tom is the kind of guy who thinks that people will just send him credit cards and it's free money. I have to pay it back. Which sounds strange, but I actually met a guy one time who did that. Got his first credit card in the mail and was shocked when the bill came. But nonetheless, that's Tom. He has no idea. So his treat yourself day is kind of a denial, a numbing, digging himself deeper into a hole. That's not treating himself. Remember the question, what do you want? And sometimes the answer is, I want a sense of financial security. So it doesn't have to, treat yourself doesn't have to be, I went out and bought that Lamborghini. I wanted it. It was treat yourself day. So I got it, right? But then you're strapped with those payments. There are a lot of ways to treat yourself that don't end up costing you something that you don't want to pay. So be sure you want to pay that. Give yourself some time. Be out in nature. Do whatever it is that gives you pleasure. You know, when I was in high school, one of the things that brought me the most pleasure was to get a new album, because back then we sold music in albums. That's how they came. And I would get headphones on and lay in the middle of my bedroom, turn off all the lights, and listen from beginning to end to this musical journey, this art. Yeah, we're talking about, yeah. How long has it been since you've done that? Right? And now you're old. You can do it with wine. So, I mean, I highly recommend it. There are lots of different ways. Let yourself follow pleasure. Let yourself follow pleasure. The third piece of advice I have, I'm stealing from Julia Cameron and The Artist Way. If you've never read this book, we've studied a little bit in the past, but I highly encourage you. I know Aubrey's an expert on this book if you have any questions about this. Fantastic book to work through and to keep in front of your, in your forefront of your journey, if you will. She advocates the artist date. We're all artists, by the way. We're all engaged in the creative endeavor of living this life. And this artist date's one of the basic tools of the Artist Way. There's two tools that she uses. There's the morning pages, which she sees as you sending the energy, sending the creative energy to the page. And the artist date is you receiving the creative energy, letting it come back to you, right? And so what is it? This is how she describes it: a block of time, perhaps 2 hours weekly, committed to nurturing your creative consciousness, your inner artist. In its most primary form, the artist date is an excursion, a play date that you pre-plan and defend against all interlopers. This is a firm date with yourself. You do not take anyone on this artist date but you and your inner artist. So that woman on the right, looking up at the tent, or right above the word date, she could be on her artist date. She's by herself. Those two women over there, not on their artist date. I know we want to take people with us. We want to say, oh, this is my artist date. Nikki will do that a lot of times. We'll be out looking at some, oh, this is an artist date. I'm like, nope, you're not by yourself. I'm not by myself, right? And so it's an intentional time that you give to yourself to nurture your creative energy. And if you think you haven't been socialized to fight your own creativity, just watch and see all the ways you will try to make that not happen. You'll come up with all different kinds of excuses for this to not happen. So go to an art fair by yourself, or a museum, or take a walk in the woods, or take a good book to a coffee shop, or fill in the blank. Here's the thing, it's your artist date. I can't fill in the blank for you. Your artist date is going to look different from mine. What would you do that would put you back in touch with your creativity, your emotional health, your joy, your pleasure? I just had such a good time doing that, because joy is also what lives here. We talk about love, peace, and joy as our highest spiritual principles. This is the seat of joy. Eckhart Tolle says, it takes practice to hear your true desires. Your passions will often come as a whisper or a serendipitous event that reminds you of what's important and what makes you happy. Your joy and your happiness and your creativity and your emotions all spring from the same energetic place. This is the place where your being is established. This is the very dwelling place of your soul. And it is a no judgment zone. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Deb. Take just a second for that to kind of settle. You know, when I was growing up, I went to 9 different schools by 9th grade. And it's because my father was not a Baptist minister, a Free Will Baptist minister. because there's a difference, I guess. So I was a preacher's kid, and we moved around a lot because my dad had a reputation for getting churches out of debt. And so, we would go to a church, get a church out of debt, and we would move on. And so by the time I got to ninth grade, I hated change. I loathed change because change took me away from my friends. Change caused me to have to give pets away because we couldn't take them to our next apartment or whatever, or couldn't travel with them. So by the time I was in ninth grade, I really shut down because I was so terrified that I was going to have to make friends here and then leave them. And so it took me a long time to realize that change was just a part of life and that it was how I perceived change that made it good or bad for me. And I say all of that to say this: I have thought so much about changing this part of the service because I really feel that gratitude is something that needs to be a part of what we do every week. Gratitude is the core of the way that Unity of Music City operates. And it's like, well, let's change this part of the service up and not talk about gratitude. But no, I want to get excited about gratitude. I want to double down on gratitude. So when I say, what are you thankful for this week? I want you to yell it out. What are you thankful for this week? Rain. Friends. Love. Nature. Oh, wow. Ponder on that this week, and I want you to be prepared. When you come in on Sundays, I want you to have your gratitude word because we're going to do a barrage of gratitude for 30 seconds. All right? We're going to get excited about being gratitude because the other thing that we're grateful for is grateful for being here at Unity of Music City in this environment with these people and with everybody online too. Everybody, if you can't come, you can always watch online, and I want you to feel that gratitude when you're watching online too. That's a huge part of what we do. So we're grateful to be able to give back to our spiritual community, and we can do that through our time, the time that we spend here in this spiritual community with each other. We can do it through our talents, giving back in art or giving back in volunteering in any of the events that we have. And we can give back by giving our paper money because we have to pay the bills, and we don't want to just pay the bills. We want to have abundance. We want to have abundance so that we can give back to the community that we serve. So keep in mind all the different ways to give back. And keep in mind that if you're new, I think we got maybe a couple of new people here. The blue vase is there in the back. There's the PayPal QR code that you can use to give back to this spiritual community. And just take a quick look at where we are financially. These are the numbers. And the numbers don't lie. I can hear my father saying that. Because, he'll help churches get out of debt, right? And so keeping all of this in mind, keeping that gratitude in mind, we're going to say our offertory affirmation. We're going to say it together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give. Let's sing about it. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life. I live in the midst of infinite abundance, and life gives back to me. Sing it again. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life. I live in the midst of infinite abundance, and life gives back to me. And life gives back to me. Well, let's all stand together as we prepare to leave. Let's say the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. One more time. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next Sunday. Same time, same place. Have a great week, everybody.